Stone fam. Welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Our wins for this week, one huge one is that so many of our friends graduated, and we're so proud of you. And we hope that the Lord just immensely blesses this next chapter of your life.
Yeah, another is a lot of our friends in Capital Interns got to go to Washington, D.C. and just spread the gospel and speak to different members of Congress and people. And yeah, they made it there, did a great work, came home safely. So we're just super happy for them and the experience that they got to have there.
Yes, bless all of you. Today we are talking about forgiveness and love, two just really huge topics in the Bible and in life. So to start, I want to talk just about what forgiveness is. And to put it simply, it's the bridge between sin and redemption, between us and God, and between each other, is how I'm viewing it.
Yeah, forgiveness can be, I think forgiveness and loving are two of the hardest things that we have to do in life, but they are the most important things that we are faced with in our life. And they are the most challenging, but also reap the biggest reward and benefits, I think.
Yeah. 10 times out of 10, everything in our life, the hardest things to do, the things that cause us the most resistance are the most important and most impactful things that we can do. And I'm going to nerd out on you guys for just a second, so please stay with me. There's a part of your brain called the midsingular cortex, I think I'm saying that correctly, that grows every time you do something that you actively do not want to do. So whether it's working out, taking like a cold plunge, just little things in life, or forgiving someone in this context, doing something actively that you don't want to do grows this part of your brain, which in turn increases your will to live. So it's interesting that God designed us that way, right? Where we are wired to, like, it makes us better off, makes us more excited to live, makes us have less depression when we go and do the things that we actively don't want to do. And I think it's just because of the whole, like, we need to suffer as Christ has suffered aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm super into that kind of stuff. And that's mind blowing to me that we're genuinely wired that way. And that's why when we don't forgive and we don't love and we don't do these hard things, we are worse off.
Yeah.
So.
And the truth of the matter is the Bible is the truth. And so why would it talk so much about forgiveness and love, highlighting those points if it wasn't important? Like clearly the Lord knew that as sinful people, as just people, we would have a hard time doing it. And he makes it so evident to say, hey, you need to forgive. Hey, you need to love. And I love the verse. It's in Colossians 3, starting at verse 12. It says, therefore, as God's chosen ones, holy and dearly loved, put on compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another if anyone has a grievance against another, just as the Lord has forgiven you. So you also are to forgive. Like, I love it because leading into it, it's talking about the fruits of the Spirit, like all these things that, we should resemble, we should reflect. And coming from those things, we should be able to bear each other's grievances and forgive one another because the Lord forgave us. Like,
Right.
Point blank, the Lord forgave us, so we are to forgive others.
Right. But how much easier is that said than done?
Oh, so much easier. So much easier.
We wanted to talk about this topic specifically because we have seen the magnitude of forgiveness and its benefits, and also the cons to not forgiving in our personal lives. Um, I'm gonna kind of let you speak on like our situation with Dad. I feel like it's such a huge example of that.
Yeah, I feel like the Lord graced me so big when it comes to forgiveness because I remember it was 2 years before my dad had passed that I just had something like come over me. Like I did not even relate it to God. And I just knew I was like, I've got to go to therapy. I've got to do something because I really want to forgive my dad. Because, growing up with an alcoholic father, there was just so much bitterness I held, resentment I held so much just pent up. I did not forgive him for a single thing. I was angry. I was upset, whatever. And like now looking back, that was the grace of God, really putting that on me to try and forgive my dad. And it took time. It was a year of like counseling and really working on myself and working on the roots of everything and really diving deep to learn to do this. But I really had it on my heart to forgive my dad, and I just knew I was like, I this is something I have to do. And looking back after really gaining the Holy Spirit and really knowing God like I do now, thinking of what it would have looked like if I didn't forgive him, thinking of like my dad dying and me not having any forgiveness towards him, not working on my relationship with him, that is the worst possible thought. Like that
Yeah.
kills me inside to think about what it would have looked like if I didn't forgive. And so it's kind of one of those things that forgiveness is it's a choice. It's not just going to come over you all the time to be like, "Oh, I want to do it." And it's hard work. And
Right.
it's like, obviously it's the Lord who helped me to do it, and we have to call on the Lord to help us to forgive. It's not an easy thing. It's not something we can do just in our natural mind sometimes.
Right.
But when I really made the choice, the Lord helped me to do it, and it made all the difference to forgive my dad. Um, yeah, it just literally what it would have looked like if I didn't is something I don't even want to think about.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. And I want to point out two things from that. One, that you forgave him while he was still alive, which then allowed you to forgive a almost bigger, what do you want to call it, act against you.
mhm,
Of, for those of you who don't know, our dad took his life. And so
mhm,
for both of us to be then, I started going to therapy after she started going to therapy. So I was also able to like harbor that forgiveness towards him. But because we did that, we were then able to forgive him for taking his life. Like
yeah,
that one act of forgiveness, that choice, that conscious decision,
mhm,
then led us to, okay, we also need to be able to forgive this,
mhm,
which also changed a lot in our healing process after that happened. And then the second thing is you talking about, oh, if I hadn't forgiven him and he had died, like what that would have been awful. We don't often, or if ever, really consider that tomorrow is not promised to us.
yeah,
Neither is it promised to the person that we are harboring unforgiveness against.
mhm,
And we so often take life for granted in the way that we will have tomorrow to forgive someone. And if you look at it that way, that tomorrow is not promised, we didn't know when our dad was going to die. That was so completely out of the blue.
mhm,
We might not have had that chance if we didn't have that conscious,
yeah,
decision years earlier. So I just encourage you to take life with that mindset of, hey, tomorrow is actually not promised to this person that I'm harboring unforgiveness towards, and that's an issue. I, it stresses urgency.
mhm, yeah. And as someone who went through the process of forgiving, I if I would have thought or like could have tried to forgive years earlier, like I wish I would have, because I
Right.
spent so much extra time being bitter and burdened, and I could have not been that way. Like I could
Yeah.
have forgiven earlier, because it was just the point of me deciding to do it and going through the steps of doing it. Like it might not be a quick process, whatever, but choosing to do it sooner rather than later is important. Like Sierra said, like you don't know how much time you're going to have. So
Mm-hmm.
what was the point of me spending years being unforgiving and all of that? Like, are you kidding me? The Lord was like blessing me by,
Mm-hmm.
putting it on my heart when he did, because if I would have kept on waiting and waiting until I felt like forgiving, until my dad's actions made it seem like it was then time to forgive, I would have never gotten there,
Right.
because that's something also big. I think sometimes we wait for someone to change before we try to forgive them. And I feel like
Mm.
that's kind of a question I have for you is like, how do you, what does it look like to forgive someone who never apologizes or changes?
Wow, that's
Because I
interesting.
think for me, that was kind of the issue. It's like, well, why would I forgive you? And how do I forgive you if you're just going to be doing the same thing as you're forgiven? You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, I actually had a situation earlier this year where the person that I felt wronged me in a way didn't even know that they did. So it goes
Mm-hmm.
into that like not changing or whatever. They didn't even know the way that this action made me feel. And it was one of those things that I saw that made my heart sink. And I started to spiral instantly when I saw it, and I was like, Lord, please take this from me. Because at the end of the day, God doesn't forgive us because we're worthy of forgiveness, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we don't forgive others because they have earned it in any way.
Yeah.
We forgive others because that's what we're called to do. And that's what I knew in that moment is just like, you know what? This is never going to end well if I try to take this into my own hands, and I'm never going to resolve this on my own.
Yeah.
So it's
No.
just like, okay, Lord, you need to take this. Please take this feeling off of my heart. Please allow me to forgive and bless this person, because otherwise I'm just going to be sat here feeling sick.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that some people will never change. Some people will never know that the way that they're acting is affecting other people in a
Mhm.
poor way or anything like that. And something that I know is that harmful feelings such as stress or unforgiveness or hate will manifest in you physically,
Yeah.
to a certain extent. And I don't want that in my life. And so it just had to be that decision of, am I going to worry about this person changing, or am I going to worry about my own health and well
Yeah.
being and my relationship with God? Because, like I said, unforgiveness is the bridge between us and God. You
Mhm.
know, I didn't want to keep that bridge based on a situation that really is so seemingly small.
Yeah. And unforgiveness is truly from the enemy. Like, I think
Yeah.
unforgiveness is honestly one of the biggest things that holds us back from other people and from God. And that's what the enemy loves. Like, that's his
Right.
goal, is to get us further from each other and further from the Lord. And unforgiveness is like the best way to do that, because
Mhm.
it's so easy to hold bitterness. It's so easy to hold unforgiveness. It's hard to forgive. It's hard to love. And so the enemy knows he can pretty much use that against anyone by being like, oh, you shouldn't forgive that person. Look at the way they wronged you. Look at what they did to you.
Right.
Like, they aren't worthy of forgiveness. And like Sierra said, nobody is deserving of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Like, literally, the only person worthy is the Lord. Like, he's the
Yeah.
only one who is deserving of anything, really. So
Yeah.
it's like, who are we to say that somebody isn't deserving? Who are we to say that their action was too big, too bad to deserve forgiveness? Like, that's honestly
Right.
us trying to play God. Like,
Right.
who am I to say, oh, you did that to me? No, you don't deserve forgiveness. Oh, you did that to me? Like, no, I can't love you again. And
Yeah.
it's like, what if God looked at us and said that? What if God chose not to forgive us and not to love us because
Mhm.
our sin against him was just a little too big, was a little too bad? Like,
Right.
we would be pleading for the rest of our lives for that forgiveness. That would break us. Like,
Yeah.
that is the most horrible thing to think about, is the Lord not forgiving us. And,
Mhm.
you know, he shows us the perfect example of what it looks like to forgive, what it looks like to, he died for our sins. Like, he died for the wrong we did, and we can't simply forgive somebody and move on. You know what I mean?
It's the
And
truth.
again, it is easier said than done. And I don't want to downplay anyone's situations, because I'm sure there's people that are going to watch this that have gone through something horrible and somebody has done something very wrong to them, and they don't think that they can forgive. But that does go back to the part of, it's the Lord's doing. And we have to call on his name. We have to say, Lord, I don't know how to forgive such a thing, such a person. Like, I need you to soften my heart and teach me to forgive.
Yeah.
Because we're human. Things seem horrible to us, and
Right.
we experience things so personally and so intimately when they happen to us that it's like everything else, doesn't make sense, or everything else seems hard. And yeah, I don't know. It is something that I think only the Lord can do, and we have to ask him for help in it.
Have you had a situation in life where you have felt like, you know what, this person wronged me too much? Like, this is too big to be forgiven, that you have felt like God has shown you otherwise?
With our dad in that situation, I felt like just the way he had parented, the way he was living his life and doing things really hurt me.
Mhm.
And, in my own little mind, in my own situation, in my own kind of selfishness, like, I held that so deeply, just like things that he was doing. And the Lord really changed my mind by giving me compassion. I feel like that was one of the biggest things that really changed my heart and my mindset, was the Lord showing me that, like, he was just a person too. Like, I remember
Yeah.
it was after his death that I got this crazy just feeling of compassion towards him. And I realized, like, wow, he was just a person. Like, and I started to look at, how was he raised? What did he go through?
Right.
What are things that happened to him? What was he dealing with? And the Lord just put this compassion on me that I'd never felt towards him, and just reminded me of the humanness that was a part of
Mhm.
my dad. That's a part of me, that's a part of all of us, because sometimes we look at an action, and I think we look at a person and we judge them so harshly, and I think sometimes we're honestly selfish. It's like,
I agree.
you hurt me in this way, but I have no idea what you've gone through. I have no idea what's going on inside your mind, your mental health, your life, your
Mhm.
upbringing. And I think forgiveness and compassion really go hand in hand. Like forgiveness and love really go hand in hand. Because I think when the Lord shows you what it looks like to love and have a compassionate and soft heart, you're so led to forgive. And the same thing, like when the Lord gives you a forgiving heart, you just have so much more compassion and love towards people. And I think that's what we lack when we're unforgiving and when we're bitter is we lack a heart of compassion,
Yeah.
we lack a heart of love, and we lack a heart of humility and just like understanding of who we all are just as people. And yeah, so that was a situation where the Lord just opened my eyes to what it is to be human, what it is to love when we don't understand, what everyone else is going through.
I think it's so beautiful how you talked on understanding,
Mhm.
because I think that that's one of the reasons that we have such hard hearts, and that we are so quick to cancel someone or be hateful towards someone, is because we don't understand them. We don't understand their
Yeah.
situation. Every time I've gotten to know someone's situation better, even our dad's, for instance, he went
Mhm.
through so much as a kid
Yeah.
that he never dealt with, that was just
Mhm.
harbored in him, that just led to, kind of snowballed into some bad things. The second you actually take a step back to look at someone's situation more intimately, you will feel more compassion for
Yeah.
them, more
Yeah.
understanding. But how often do we not, like you said, like we're selfish. We don't take the
Yeah.
time to evaluate the situation. We just
Mhm.
say, oh, this person did that to me. How could they do that?
Mhm.
They're obviously an awful person.
Yeah.
But that's the thing of like, God has forgiven us for so much that anyone else does is just so small in comparison, but we just, again, in our small little brains, make it all feel so big. And I
Mhm.
encourage you, if you are someone who has a situation of unforgiveness right now, if you have the ability to understand that person better, to maybe chat with them and understand where they're coming from more, please do that. And if not, pray blessings over them. Pray
Mhm.
that God would bless whatever situation they have gone through, or reveal to them things
Mhm.
about their past or their childhood that are making them act the way that they are, just to kind of further resolve the situation.
Yeah, I what helped me a lot with forgiveness is the blessing piece of it, cuz I've learned to forgive and I know how to forgive, but it's another level to bless somebody. Like when I
Mhm.
feel like someone's done something wrong to me or I've been hurt by someone's actions or words or whatever it is, and I sat down and I said, "Lord, like from the bottom of my heart, Lord, like please, show them their actions, reveal something in their heart. God, I bless them. I bless their future. God, I bless the next people that they encounter. Lord, like, I pray a blessing over their heart and a love over them. And just like praying
Yeah.
that over somebody that's wronged you, praying a blessing over them, it starts to uncrack your heart. Like it
Mhm.
just starts to soften it piece by piece. And I know, like I've talked to my friends and they've done it every day for people, like forgiven that, written it down every day. Lord, I forgive that person. Like God, forgive them for like over and over because it's a hard thing. And something that actually just came to my mind right now that happened when we were at a Capital Young Adults camp is the Lord actually reminded me that I had forgiven somebody once, but that wasn't enough. And the Lord actually reminded me like forgiveness is continual. And I think that that's so important too. Forgiveness isn't always just, "Oh, okay, I forgive that person, moving on." No, hold our hearts hold things more than sometimes our minds, I think, realize.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think forgiveness should be, we need to do it continually. Like, Lord, I forgive that person for X, Y, and Z. Lord, bless them in these different ways. Like, every day, Lord, I give that to you because I don't want to harbor any unforgiveness towards them because I know it's easy to do. I know we're fleshly.
Yeah.
Like, God, bless that person. Help me to forgive that person daily. Like,
Truly. And I think a way to help with that is a mindset shift.
mm-hmm.
Because the way that we perceive a situation does matter so much in the way that we're able to resolve it or
Mm-hmm.
not. And if we look at a situation of someone wronged you, how can you use that for your benefit, for your growth,
Mm-hmm.
to bring you closer to God? Like how can
Mm-hmm.
you kind of spin the situation of not, I was wronged, but what can I learn from this? How can
Yeah.
I become better from this? And the more that you look at it with a positive light and blessings and understanding, the just the better the situation will be.
Mhm.
And it kind of flips unforgiveness towards growth.
Yeah.
And God will use any situation for the betterment of your life
Mhm.
if you allow that to be the case.
Yeah, it really is a choice. It's a
Yeah.
decision. It's a what you're going to make out of it, and that's all of life. Like it's what you choose
Mhm.
to make it. It's what you choose to do with it. Like you're either going to hold on to unforgiveness or you're going to learn how to forgive and take that off of you and let the Lord take that away from you.
Yeah.
And another point I want to talk about is just that I I think, and I've been guilty of doing this, like it's so easy to hold unforgiveness but expect forgiveness from others. Like
Amen.
we as people, I think expect people to forgive us. Like that's the hope always is if I've hurt you in any way, like, please forgive me. Like when you say sorry, it's like you are looking for forgiveness from
Mhm.
somebody. And so, who are we to ask for forgiveness, to say we're sorry, to want forgiveness from other people, but then not want to give out forgiveness? Like, there's a lot in the Bible about full and partial rewards and givings and all of that. And it's like, how can we expect to receive full forgiveness from other people and from the Lord if we can't give out full forgiveness? Like, the Lord says, forgive as I have forgiven. The Lord has forgiven everything for his
Everything.
people. Like he has forgiven all the times we've wronged him. And I think about all the times I hurt the Lord's feelings. I wronged the Lord. I did something that was so far from his will for my life. And he forgave me for that. That is weighty. That is so, so deep and so weighty and so kind of him to forgive like that. And so if somebody does one single thing to me, I better be forgiving them quicker than I can even have a bad thought about them. Like I should be forgiving them because I know my father forgave me for all these horrible things that I think I've done. So if you did that to me, I can forgive you too.
It's
You
so
know?
true. And that actually reminded me of the parable of the unforgiving servant in Matthew,
Mhm.
about how this servant's master forgave the servant for just an unforgivable amount of debt, like a debt
Mhm.
that could never be repaid. It was so big,
Yeah.
and he forgave him.
Mhm.
And then that servant turned around and accused another servant of, "Oh, you owe me this. Pay me this right now." And that
Mhm.
servant, just like the other servant, couldn't pay that back, even though it was so much smaller. And then that servant that was forgiven ended up condemning this other servant, just being like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you can't pay me back," like condemning them.
Mhm.
That's how we act towards God.
Yeah.
God forgives us for an unforgivable sin constantly, daily. And then someone does one little thing to us and we're just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do this." It's that just that expectation of like, well,
Mhm.
God's forgiving me and hopefully these other people are forgiving me, but like you're not holding yourself accountable for your forgiveness towards others.
Yeah. And I think because of how hard it is to forgive and love in that forgiveness, I think that's just such a great way of how the Lord makes us rely on him and lean on him and
Yes.
trust in him because it's something we can't do without the Lord's hold over our lives and the Lord's just power over us because like I know to forgive, the only way I can do that is to say, Lord, like teach me how. Lord, how do
Right.
I do it? Lord, show me how to do this well. I cannot do it on my own. And so he uses these two big and prominent things to be like, hey, I know you don't know how to do this, so come to me to find out how to do it. So come to me
Yeah.
so we can do it together. And another story that I love that I just read was in Genesis. Joseph, his brothers sold him into slavery after first trying to throw him in a pit to die. All this stuff. They fully forgot who he was. They didn't recognize him when they had seen him next. And he was weeping. He was so hurt by them and by seeing them and just by his compassion kind of towards them. And he ended up just blessing them, sitting and eating with them. Like, if I don't know, if that would have happened to me, the first thing I would have wanted to say would be like, "Are you kidding me? Do you remember what you did to me? Like, you tried to sell me to slavery and now you're here asking for help." Like, the fleshly mind, like, we'd be mad. We'd
Yeah,
be
of course.
so bitter. And Joseph was just wanted to bless his brothers. He had compassion. He had love. He was relying on God to say, God, show them their ways, God. Reveal them their ways, God. I'm trusting in you. I know you have a plan in this, but help them, God. Like, he had just a compassionate, forgiving heart towards his brothers. And it's like he was a great representation of what Jesus is in our lives, and yeah, how we're supposed to be. Like,
Mhm.
there's so many stories in the Bible that show us how to do it. And I think that's
Yeah.
a great way, because I'm sure some of you are like, well, how do I forgive? How do I do this practically? Look in the Bible. There's so many stories, different accounts, and different situations where people relied on the Lord and sought his help to forgive people. And you know, we see, you can look and see how it didn't work out when people had unforgiveness, and then you can look and see how it did work out when people chose to forgive.
It's the truth. And like I said, it's that bridge between us and God and us like in each other. And on this huge topic of forgiveness and forgiving others, I also want to touch on forgiving ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because that holds so much weight as well. And I found that there was a point in my life where I was harboring so much unforgiveness towards myself and I did
Yeah.
not even realize. And I finally let it all go and I just asked for the Lord's help in doing so. I just gave everything to God
Mm-hmm.
finally after years and years and years of just like being super hard on myself about a lot of things. And that brought me closer to the Lord than I have ever been in my entire life
Yeah.
because, like I said, it's that bridge.
Yeah.
It all goes back to that. Like, this will hold you back, whether it is unforgiveness towards yourself or towards others. It will hold you back from your relationships with others being pure and authentic and amazing, and your relationship with God being close and holy. And it holds everything back because it holds you back. It holds your heart back. It makes
Mm-hmm.
you closed off. I can't stress enough the importance of it.
Yeah, and something I think about is when Jesus was on the cross and he said to the person sitting next to him, Father, forgive him, for he knows not what he's done. And
Hmm.
I think sometimes we are so condemning to parts of ourselves, and we hold so much unforgiveness to ourselves. And that's a prayer I feel like I've had to just ask the Lord, Lord, forgive me, like in past tense. Lord, forgive her for what she did not
Hmm.
know. Forgive her for what she did that she didn't realize she was even doing, or the weight of what
Hmm.
she was doing. Like, speaking about myself. And I think it's important just to pray that of like, Lord, I didn't know what I was doing back then, or I just was going the wrong way. You know, it doesn't even have to be past tense. Lord, yesterday, like,
Hmm.
forgive her for that. Forgive me for that. And I think we need to, again, with how I said forgiveness is continual, it is for ourselves too, and
Yeah.
asking the Lord, Lord, forgive me. Like, I think, again, with the expectation, we want people to forgive, we expect it. No, it's something that we have to ask for. We have to ask others for it, we have to ask God for it. Like, hey, going up to someone that you think you've wronged, hey, will you forgive me? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And doing the same to God, getting on your knees and saying, Lord, will you forgive me? Like, please forgive me for what I've done. And there's something I think with even asking the question that brings so much release of just, will you
Yes.
do this for me? Like, I need you to do this for me because I can't do it for myself. Like, I can't forgive myself for what I did to you. Like, I need your forgiveness. I can't just forgive myself for what I did to the Lord. I need his forgiveness. And so, reaching out and asking for it and just coming with humility to the Lord and to people and just saying, hey, I'm sorry. I need your forgiveness. Like, there is something I think so powerful with just that wanting and that pleading for that forgiveness from people.
Yes, I agree with all of that. And just, I want to just stress again the urgency of it. The
Yeah.
urgency. We don't all have tomorrow to go and do that.
Mhm.
And like she's saying, the feeling that comes from someone saying, yes, I forgive you, and the feeling that comes from the release of you asking for forgiveness
Mhm.
are so huge that you should want that today.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how big the wrong was that that person did against you,
Mhm. Yeah.
be urgent.
Peace comes from forgiveness. It's not going to come without it. And so,
Yeah.
no matter what it is, even if it's not to that person's face, even if you're forgiving them through the Lord, that's
Mhm.
all you need to do. Like,
Mhm.
if you can't see that person, or if something happened, if you lost somebody, or, if someone you cannot be in contact with anymore, you don't need to be, like,
Yeah.
pray to the Lord, hey, I need to forgive this person. They've really waited on my heart, and I've held all this, God, like I need your help taking it away. And yeah, there's not going to be a good or easy time to forgive. It's never going to be convenient. It's never going to be easier. It's going to be hard and it's going to be inconvenient. Like
Mhm.
again, the enemy wants to keep us in the unforgiveness, so it's going to be hard to forgive. So, yeah, there's no better time than now to forgive that person and ask the Lord how to do it. Ask the Lord to show you how to ask the Lord to soften your heart so that you can forgive, so
Mhm.
that you can have a compassion and a love towards that person. He'll do that work in you.
Yeah, please allow our story and our testimony to be proof that A, forgiveness is urgent, and that B, it's possible
Yeah.
through Christ. Like both of those things are so true and it is so freeing.
Mhm.
And we really just encourage all of you to just take this to your heart and just do that work that seems impossible. That is unforgiveness, just through the Lord's help.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this, want to know more about it, or talk to us further about forgiveness, reach out to us or comment below. We've loved just being able to share this with you guys.
Bye,
Bye,
Stone
Stone
Fam.
Fam.